Hey there, welcome to my second Patreon check-in. I'm shooting on the roof of my apartment building, and I'm having to use my laptop and my cell phone for lighting, so it's just one more reason why I need your support for my Patreon, so I cannot look like Frankenstein. I can see my caveman brow, and I also am basically getting blinded by this frickin' light. It's been a really weird and interesting week. I only got to do stand-up 3 times this week. So Sunday I went and I did I went and did the Hollywood Improv. It's Sunday night. It's about 9:45 p.m. and I'm walking down Melrose to the Hollywood Improv, which is like both my favorite and least favorite open mic to do. I've crushed harder in that room and bombed harder in that room than I have anywhere else in LA. Excuse me. What's up, man?
Hey, how you doing, buddy?
Good. This is the line. This is all the people that want to get up tonight. There's a bucket up here. Sign up to go in the bucket. There's actually a lot of fucking people for a Sunday night. More than I would expect.
Not the front entry, should I just sign in, you said?
I usually don't. Like, I want to go back to my flowy shirts. I bought a rad dad t-shirt. I'm going to keep wearing it.
So Troy Dillinger, what is this? This is, I'm doing a, who are we tendering here?
Here's what. Let's see if this. I messaged this girl earlier. She's very hot. Can you see it? It says, "Hey, Dad," and then it said, "Whoops, wrong text." Pretty funny, right? She's hot. Look at, she's hot.
Oh,
hot chick. This guy is Isaac Hirsch.
Oh, okay.
He's a comedian / he lost on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
You know, there's so much more about me
Than those two things.
I turned in a pretty good set. I did a decent set. It was late. Then I went and I hung out up at the Comedy Store for a while, and I had a really good time. I have a fun time hanging out. And then I got home. It was late. It was like 2 in the morning, and I couldn't get in. And long story short, the guy I'm renting the room from is an Iraqi combat vet, and he's got pretty heavy-duty PTSD. He's a really, really, really nice guy. He's a good human being, and that war fucked with his head, and he's doing pretty well, all things considered. And I couldn't wake him up. I was pounding on the door. I had to break the door down, and I didn't even think about it. I triggered his PTSD, and I'm shy to talk about it, but here's the thing, this is a real thing. We send a bunch of young men and women over to Iraq, and we lied. We sent them over there on a lie, and we fucked up a lot of human beings, and this is stuff people have to deal with. So my respect for combat vets and for people with PTSD is so high. I'm already very much a pacifist. But enough about that. I'm pretty purposefully apolitical. Basically, things are very tense at the house. They're very difficult. I created a very difficult situation, and it was real weird for about a day and a half, and I didn't know what to do, and I felt like I needed to give him some space, and so I went and slept in my car. I didn't know if I was going to get kicked out. I just didn't know what to do, and then I did a set, the open mic at the Laugh Factory on Tuesday night. After all this, I had knots in my stomach for a day and a half. Today, I'm going to sign up for the open mic at the Laugh Factory. It's a thing where you have to sign up a week in advance, and then you show up and get to do a set the following week. These are all the other comics who'll be going up next week. Smile. I've been watching that place on TV forever, and I want to do really good. It's one of the clubs I'd like to work in. I wasn't sure if I was going to have a place to live. I didn't know how it was going to shake out. But as it turns out, the guy's just as good a human being as I expected he was, and we were able to work through it and get closer. And you know, my compassion is higher than ever. And I got to fix the door too. And you know, being a fucking idiot redneck from Texas, it never occurred to me to call a 24-hour lockout service. I've never done that in my life. I would just always knock a door down and fix it. So anyways, I had to do this open mic at the Laugh Factory, which was a big deal to me. So I signed up last week for the mic at the Laugh Factory, and this week I'm back. 6 p.m. call time, and this time I'm going to do just 3 minutes. It takes a week to do 3 minutes at this place. Again, part of the process. I didn't sleep for 2 days, and one of those days was in my car, and my stomach was in knots, and by the time we figured out everything was okay, you know, it was the afternoon of going over there. Every open mic has a weird old guy that just comes out and talks about crazy things. There's this guy out there named Mystery Dan. People know very little about him, and I interviewed him for like an hour. And so I think I'm going to do one episode just about all the comics that I've known and met. There's Mystery Dan.
Let's get our applause meter up and welcome Troy Dillinger.
Big hand for Harvey. How many years have you been doing this, Harvey?
33.
Excellent, 33. But longer than most of you been alive. Okay. Hey everybody, I was just standing in line with outside. How are you? It's 5 minutes later. I just moved here from Austin, Texas. I'm 50 years old, and everybody in Los Angeles makes me feel so at home when I go to open mics until they find out I'm not industry. So I was a musician for 35 years. I traveled all over the world. I got to meet all of all the people I look up to and work with some of them. And I've experienced a lot of stuff. I have learned that in LA, the women here are harder than any place on the planet. Like, the women here are tough. They do not screw around. when I first got here, I went up to this girl at my gym, and I go, "Hey, how's it going? I'm from Austin." She goes, "Oh, are you here for Pride Week?" All right. Shots fired. All right. So I came out here to shop this TV show. It's an animated show for Hasidic children, Jewish kids. It's called Hillel Kitty. I'm old enough to do dad jokes, you guys. Come on. But I made my first Hollywood paycheck this week, you guys. Yes. A rich white girl in a new car rear-ended me. I'm adding avocado to everything. Like avocado for you, avocado for you. Look under your seats. Everybody gets an avocado. Austin is this like mythical land. It's like this oasis in the middle of this hell trap, like a Florida type shithole that has all these wonderful people who can't afford to live in the place they made so awesome, and where hippies and conspiracy theorists come together as one. I used to be neighbors with a guy named Alex Jones. Do you guys know? Wow. So I would go out to my car, and I would hear, "What's going on, Dillinger?" It's not what you want to hear. Say, "Come over here under the tree so the helicopters can't see us." And it's true. There were helicopters following the guy around. Anyways, so I moved out here in January. This friend of mine said, "Don't move because it's Mercury retrograde." And I had no idea what that was. So I went and Wikipedia'd it. So I like to be aware of stuff. And here's what it is. Between the Earth and the Sun is the planet Mercury. And from our vantage point, sometimes it looks like Mercury's going backwards. And when that happens, hippies have an excuse to be an asshole for a couple of weeks. So, yeah. Anyways, my name's Troy Dillinger. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Troy Dillinger.
I did okay at Laugh Factory. I didn't do great. We had no audience members. It was only 10 or 12 comics that performed. Man, I just felt kind of nervous all week. And then Friday, I did a set, and something new happened. Something new happened in that I started talking. I went up last at this place where you pay $5 and you get to do 5 minutes. And I went up last, and there were only 3 people in the room. And so I was just like, fuck it, I'm just going to start talking. And when I started talking, it got really funny. And I settled into this new kind of groove. So much of the time when I'm on stage, I feel like I'm trying to be an entertainer. I'm trying to be a comic. I'm trying to be comfortable and confident. And this set, I just started talking. And I kind of didn't give a shit. I didn't give a shit if they laughed. I paid my $5. I was going to do my 5 minutes. And if they didn't laugh, I didn't fucking care. And I found a new voice for myself. I'm interested in seeing what happens next. This week I saw myself grow in a couple of ways. One is I had some weird life stuff that was difficult, and I just had to set it aside and go on stage and do my best. And I didn't do a great job with it. But then it changed, man. Friday night it changed. Something changed. I haven't talked about it because there's some legal stuff involved. But in April, my car was rear-ended. I was in a low-speed rear-end collision, but I was injured, and my car got totaled. And I've got a neck injury, which sounds stupid to me. Like, I'm really fit, and I really didn't expect that I was going to get injured, but I really did fucking get injured. I couldn't go back to Austin because I needed to, because my car was totaled and I couldn't drive it, and I was basically stuck here and I couldn't work and I couldn't do anything. And so it really screwed me, and I'm like out of money, and that's fucking with my head really hard. And this journey of a artist, entrepreneur, and all that stuff is tough. For 25 years, I've been knowing I need to come out here, and I've been afraid to do it, and I finally did it. But my fear, my deepest fear, is that I was going to get out here and not make it and go broke and be homeless and all that stuff. And here's what I've learned. Your thoughts create your life. They create your experience. And my thoughts have been negative. And so I think I've created myself this crisis. Yeah, let's see what happens. But I had a breakthrough this week. Totally had a breakthrough. So here's what I'm going to try to do next week. I'm going to try to keep in this talking vein. I'm going to try to keep writing some new material, and I'm starting to just kind of talk about myself and my life. Thanks for your support. Thanks for listening. I'm out here. I'm doing it. I'm living the dream, and anything could happen. Anything could happen. Please join my Patreon. It's just a few bucks a month, and it makes a difference for me, and especially with this little pending financial difficulty, I may really need your help. But the fact that you're watching makes me really grateful, and I'll see you next week. Patreon.com/Troy Dillinger. It's bing right here. Bing, bing, bing. Graphics. Graphics. I'll see you next week.